people are actually in transit, moving from place to place. So, but it's fine, and I'm happy to have the number of people we have here today, while we also keep our fingers crossed for others who also will be joining us shortly. Here we are at the book club, and the book we're reviewing today is The Leader Habit. Just to share a bit about the book club, which I know that, you know, for some people who have been with us for some time, they already know. Yes, we're a virtual book club, and we're focused on reviewing text and content, leadership. From our intention for us, it's that we review book. We are a lot book of, I mean, we are mostly book lovers, and we call ourselves like-minded tribe. But we know, and this I always say, life happens, and for some reason or the other, we've not been able to keep up with our reading goals, you know, and also to latch in on learnings that we know comes with, you know, reading. And that's one of the motivation for starting up the book club. And like I also say, it's also one of the motivation for having, I mean, why most of us are also here at the book club. The intention is that we can encourage ourselves to read. We can encourage ourselves, you know, like iron sharpens iron. We can latch in on the strength of ourselves. Okay, we could read the same book, but we could pick up different learning. And that is actually central to the creation of the group. This year, I was just mentally going through the list of read. And I have to say congratulations to us, because we smashed our reading goals. Well done, everybody. So we smashed our reading goals. Relatively, if I'm to put it together, if we read a book a month, that's 12 books. But we're done beyond 12 books. What I'm doing now is to compile the list of the books and then share, you know, you can, I mean, we need to do a review also. Most organizations are having their individual, you know, employee review at this moment, and even employees doing employer review. Okay, given what I've experienced this year, I want to still continue going on. So it's okay. Don't just focus on the overall performance appraisal you perhaps would have with your manager. You should also review and see how your career is tending or going, and then map out and chart out the direction. But today is not for career talk. We have that during the hangout session. So I would, you know, maybe if you need the link, I can share it with you if you're actually new to this tribe. So it's fine. Now, to the core of today, and if you ask me to keep talking, I will talk, but I've celebrated us. For me, the news I have to share is the fact that as an individual, you have to read books. You know, you may not be achieve as much as when you have a team of people who have to gather at a certain point. That's a motivation, even with a bit of prompt that I have to squeeze in, given my own also tight schedule. I'm sure it's a lot of encouragement to most of us to remember that I have a book review in 3 weeks, have a book review in 2 weeks, and that's some motivating factor to quickly, you know, go through the book. And the fact that we have selected individuals who have also distinguished themselves within the team, and offering also to help lead the conversation, you know, to facilitate conversation, to moderate the conversation. I'm sure it's also another motivation. Someone spoke with me yesterday and said, I've not read this book. I've been on some official assignment, but I'm looking forward to the book review. And you know, that's what the person said. But for me, that's already, it's a reason to continue this book club in next in the coming year. But even if you just said once I'm done, I will still read the book, but I would first let me hear from people who have read the book, and then let's see how we can also apply in our individual life. And that leads me to the to not the last point for now, but which is, apart from reading this book, so over and above that, what is also important is that we get back to work on Monday, or we get back to work whenever, and then we're able to pick key learnings and apply it to spur ourselves to greater heights on a job, in a business. We have entrepreneurs even amongst us. So I don't usually lose facts of that. We have entrepreneurs amongst us, and some of these tips and ideas and some nuggets are such that I'm sure if we look inwards, we can see ways in our journey where we can tweak and twist and make and set ourselves up for success. And one thing I always love and look forward to is the sharing, personal from personal experience, how we also interact and see how, because the author is not, doesn't know it all. So what this means is that once we have picked those nuggets, we now see how all of this works in real life, and then we bring it to bear. Without much ado, please, I would like to introduce an HR professional par excellence who will be moderating conversation today. I do not have much of a hello. Could you please mute the line? I know we have a number of people coming in. I'm seeing a lot of people joining the conversation. We're happy to have you. Thanks for joining in. And please remind all our other people on the group, on the WhatsApp group, and people who want to join the WhatsApp group, please reach me or any of the person you see as co-host today. And, we can add you to the tribe. But the rule, there's a rule. You have to be ready and willing to read. So now back to my introduction of our HR for excellence. That's in the person of Adijat Ismail. Good to have you on the call moderating conversation today. I will leave the microphone to you at this point so that you can set the rules of conversation. Introduce yourself. Go ahead, introduce yourself. Let us know who you are. Share with us some of your career, your experience, your journey. Yes, we are career-minded people, business and leadership, entrepreneurs. So let's get to meet ourselves. I'm actually planning a meet and greet and mingle session where we can also understand and know ourselves. We have quite a handful of leaders, of professionals in our midst. And you know what it is with networking. You just can't tell who put a word for you at one point or the other, or who would also, share an opportunity with you. So for 2021, this is part of the plan. We'll work where we can actually, also meet and understand ourselves. People who are into business, entrepreneurs, can also share with us. We don't have to patronize anyone outside the tribe. But we need to know what they are doing first before we can also patronize them. So let me just hand over to Ekola Ajia. Just Ismail, just to have your moderate today's conversation. I know it's been a busy.
Hello?
Someone muted me. All right, that is fine. So I will just let you speak on. Ajia, over to you.
Hello, good evening. My name is Ismail Adijat. I'm an HR will go in the small microfinance bank. I'm on this group because of my quest for learning. I believe you learn till eternity. There is no knowledge that is waste. That's why I'm on this group. I think the first book I read with the group was Mindset, and I gained a lot from that. For each book we read, I pick one or two things to apply in my daily life. Even this particular one, this leader habits, by Martin Lanik. From the very first chapter, I picked something I am already applying. So I believe we are all learners. So I'm here to learn. So should I introduce the lead facilitator?
Now you have the
Hello?
floor. Decide how you want to, let the conversation flow
Okay.
today. Yes, set the
Okay.
rules of the conversation of the engagement. How do you want them to, the questions in the comment box, or you want them to raise their hands, and you decide. Share with us how you want the conversation to flow today.
Okay. But I'm introducing the lead facilitator. The lead facilitator for today is Dominic Nwagbarocha. Dominic Nwagbarocha is an incredible optimist and results-oriented. He's got 10 years work experience, delivering value across manufacturing excellence and business process improvements in several multinationals, such as Unilever, Bezoff, and Reckitt Benckiser. He currently works as a QA manager with Reckitt Benckiser, Nigeria, also a quality and digital manufacturing consultant. A husband and dad, loves to watch short comedies in his spare time. Professional designation, QM professional, MSc Chemical Engineering, MBA Finance and Investment, Six Sigma Master, Black Belt, domain of expertise, lean manufacturing, digital manufacturing, project management. Mr. Dominic Nwagbarocha, you can have the floor now. Mr. Dominic.
Thank you very
Hello.
much, Bijad. Can you hear me? Hello?
Hello. I can hear you, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's always very, very interesting when I hear the profiles being read. So when I'm reading my own profile, it just made me laugh. I'm like, am I all these plenty things? But yeah, thank you. I think it's a humbling opportunity for me to be facilitating this book session today. I remember joining this group and it's been awesome. I've learned a lot. So having an opportunity like this, I wouldn't take for granted. So thank you to Madam Ife. Thank you to everyone for taking out that time to listen today. Okay, so I have a short presentation that I want to, okay, sure, but I'll find my way around it just to make sure. Because let me know when maybe just something to keep us to make us laugh. Or yeah, so there's this interesting story that I read in the room, and there was keys, and on one side of the table cookies, chocolates, and on the other side of the table they had apples, and there was a picture or a poster on the apples that please take only what you need, God is watching. And so the children all ran to the cookies side, and they took all the cookies and said, God is watching the apples. He's not watching the cookies and the chocolates. So just something to help us laugh and to keep us free and happy. Okay, so the leader habits. So that's the book we're reviewing today. It's because I started reading it and I was like, oh God, this should be like a course in the university, or a course that people should do before they assume leadership roles, or while they're in leadership. This is something that they need to study. So I think Martin Lanik had done a great job an excellent in this book. So I will advise everyone, but I don't think I need my introduction anymore. So I advise everyone to read this book. Even so, I don't think it's a book that you should read like a novel or something. You can pick to read every day just to learn something, and or to correct, maybe, let me use the word defects. Sorry, I'll keep using words that are similar to my area of work. So like where you see, oh, I have a defect in this area, I'm not so good in this style of leadership, then I think you should pick up this book, and face or attack that part of leadership where you want to address, where you want to increase your experience, or you want to do better. So about the author, Martin Lanik, he's the CEO of P Insights. So you could go to his site, you see the great and wonderful works they do. He has a PhD in industrial and organizational psychology. This is why it is interesting, because most of the stories that he put in his book are stories that that relate to organizations, industries, and how they were able to manage people, and how they were able to coach people, coach employees, and all of that. So he's been doing this for a long time, and great insights. I tell you, great insights that he has put in this book. So at the beginning of this book, he put out a story of a lady, Laura, who is an ER nurse. She was always looking at herself as someone who should be in management already, that she was ready for management. So, but it wasn't coming her way. So she was getting upset. So she felt she should be doing this already. She felt she was ready for the role. She felt she was set, but she didn't know that her attitude or her character was was standing in the way or standing in the gap, was one of the reasons why she wasn't getting what she wanted. So what did she do? She decided to join Martin Lanik's leadership development class. That's what she called it at that time. So the interesting thing also about Martin Lanik, he doesn't see himself or the book as something that you should just read and understand. He sees it he sees leadership as something that you should practice, something that you should want to do, that you should take deliberate steps to achieving, or deliberate steps to understanding how you want to be better. So when he coached or guided Laura, there were some things that she saw, that she began to see that she was doing wrong. So it was not just affecting her in her workplace, her attitude, her character, but it was also affecting her at home. We also saw that she had issues with her family, her siblings, just because they had to choose gifts for Christmas. So we begin to see how our attitudes and characters are not just a challenge at our workplace, but also a challenge for us um, at home. So what did that story show me? To show you something different, but this is what it showed me. It showed me that you will never know what gaps you have in your character until you listen and you accept to change. And this is one of the things Martin kept talking about. Like, the individual you are trying to change, or who is looking to change, must accept first that there is a gap, or there is something that he needs to change. So change started when she started asking open-ended questions, and this was fantastic. When I saw this, it was also, there are questions that you need to ask that could change the way you see things. So a very good one was when she went for the Christmas celebration in our home, and it was time for the gift picking and all of that, and she just asked, why should we pick this, or why are we picking it, or why, just that open-ended question broke the ice, and people began, she and her siblings began to speak openly and talk differently. She applied the same concept on her job, and she had the same results. She began to, those who she worked with became open with her. They told her what they felt. But how did she achieve this? We'll see all of this in the book. So she wrote reminder questions on her hand, which she had learned from her lectures with Martin Lanik, which she had learned from her lectures. So she had reminder questions in her hand that she would ask, because she was practicing a behavior. So then she began to see her theme as receptive by asking about their perspective before giving hers. You see, things were changing. So this bad habit, like I said, also affected her family. But her new habit led her to many personal successes. And so it got to a point she didn't have to remind herself to do the things that she was doing. So this book is in parts. So in part one, we're looking at how does this work. So he had his idea about leadership. So he sees it as a series of habits, and this was, I think it was mind changing for me, seeing leadership as a habit. Because okay, so maybe growing up, or for me, when I hear habits, what comes to mind first is a negative activity before I would think of a positive activities. So when you see so he kept it that way, yes. So habits could be anything. What is that one thing that becomes automatic to you? That's what he was looking at it as. So he sees it as an automatic behavior. So it could be negative, but there are also positive habits. So I was thinking, I said, oh, interestingly. So someone like me, I'd like to do like a morning walk, sometimes an evening walk. So every day, I do like a minimum of 5 kilometer walk. So it has become a habit that even when I don't do it, I feel very, very uncomfortable. I had a very short time to prepare, like this morning, but I still had to take my walk. So it had become a habit. It had become an automatic behavior. This is the way he wants us to also see leadership. Make it an habit. So how do you make this an habit? You determine the skill that you want to master. You practice that skill with some short focused exercises. Then you get. So this is his approach to it. So he has been able to put this into segments. So he has been able to put it that you need to know what skills, you need to know your personality, and you need to practice these things and become effective at it. So until the point when you can do it, you can behave right without thinking, that is when you have mastered that habit. So okay, so he has personality traits which he has laid out. He calls it the Coco plus R. We'll see it as we go through the slides. But there are also skills that he core leadership skills that are expected from us. We might not need to be good at all these skills at once, but we can develop them starting from one. This is his this is his approach to it. So he has 22 skills which he has penned down, and so he has also divided them into getting things done. So for me, it's like a task master and focusing on people who are channeled towards developing teams. So both traits are okay, both skills are okay. They are both skills that leaders need to have. Okay, so I need to pause here. So because I know I was having a conversation sometime, and somebody was saying, but I'm not yet leading a team. So we need to change that perspective. So leadership is not when you're the boss or you're the one on top. You can lead from within. You don't need to have a title before you're called a leader, so that we understand the perspective why we continue this book review. So that's why he broke this into two segments. So we're looking at planning and execution. He saw that skill that they're important. He also broke them down into further skills. So for planning and execution, one needs to understand how to manage priorities, how to plan and organize his work, how to delegate well, how to create urgency. He also looked at solving problems and making decisions. He also looked at leading change, where you have to set a vision, innovate. He also looked at focusing on people. So this is the people part. What skills do you need to have to focus on people? Persuasion, influencing others, and the ability to negotiate well. Resistance is one that I really like. So growing people and teams, interpersonal skills. So he has brought out these 22 skills. But for you to do well on these 22 skills, he also has 6 personality traits which he feels are super important for you to have to be able to grow this. But how do you grow these skills into make them make them automatic, let them become a part of you? So how do you do that? So he saw it as, oh yes, at first you see it as a weakness. So if, for example, a weakness could be let me say building team spirit, then you need to practice, you need to get to proficiency, you need to get to mastery. It becomes a learning. So that period where it's in between mastery and habits and becoming a habit, he calls it the overlearning. Okay, so you can see here, I had to put it off. So it's what it's a picture that comes well with me. So you see, he called it like the amount of practice. So the more the number of time you practice something, that's how far you can go into automaticity, and that's how well you can go into knowing how to do um, how to gain mastery into the habit that you are learning. So the best way to develop great leaders is to help them internalize the 22 core leadership skills to the point of automaticity. This is what he he believes in. So there's a part in the book where he mentioned that, oh, this could take 66 days. We have this concept where we say, oh, 21 days you master something. But he has looked at it due to his studies and all that he had done. He has said it will take us 66 days to do this. But how do we do this? You need to cultivate leadership instincts by carrying out a 5-minute leader habit exercise. I like the word that he used. He called it workout. So it like you know what workout is. You need to gain like you're trying to build muscles these days. When you go to the gym, they tell you, oh, for you to build this particular type of muscle, or maybe your arm muscle or your shoulder muscle, there are particular workouts that you need to do. They will be different from when you're just trying to slim down. You get. So this is the concept he has also used. He said there are workouts that you need to do, leadership workouts that you need to do daily, and there's also a formula that you need to use for this. For example, he said, if you are trying to do active listening, so this is one very, very challenging skill for most people, even for me most times, is that you need to pay close and respectful attention to people. So, in the same time, such a skill must be linked to like a behavioral cue. So he called it cue. So he gave example of someone. Okay, so for example, you come into your house every day, you drive, you park, you close your doors, you walk into your house, you drop the car keys on. So for me, I drop the car keys on my small library. So while reading this book, I found out that this is what I always do. Why do I do that? Because I don't want to look for that key. So you see, those are behavioral cues. It's a cue. Um you have started doing something unknowingly. It has become a habit. So it's the same approach that we need to use to developing leadership skills. This is what he's talking about. You walk in, drop the key on the table. So park, walk in. Sometimes you like to park at a particular spot. Sometimes there's a way you want to prepare your clothes or your bed before, and all of those things become a habit. So it's the same way we need to have this habits, this leadership. We need to grow our leadership skills by creating habits. So he also gave a checklist, which I think it will be interesting for you to look at it in the book. So which will help you constantly each time this cue is presented. So I did this check. So, but when you do this, you would see it will help you know, have I gotten to that stage of automaticity? Also, how efficient have you become? How effective have you become? So one other finding it had was simple behaviors are more likely to become habits than complex ones. So never go with a complex cue. Um, don't make it complex. So I think there was also a story of a lady who who was trying to train her dog on how to clean up after playing with the toys. But she found out that, oh, she kept saying do and kept looking. But at that point where she broke down this task into smaller task, simpler task, the dog learned how to do this, and started cleaning up after the dog had played. So automaticity, simple, just lay down simple steps that you can follow daily that will help that leadership skill that you are trying to build. Then you practice it every day. His idea towards this is that you do this for 5 minutes every day. So let's think of something that is automaticity. Also think of driving a car, a manual car. For those of you who have driven one, you know that, oh, there's always this fear or worry that when you take your leg off the clutch, that the car will go off. But after a period of time, it doesn't happen anymore, Not just that, it becomes automatic with you, and you no longer think of that face that you have to do this. It's so that is one of the great idea about automaticity. It just becomes a part of you. So now, how do we build this leadership skill? Um, One of them is getting in the flow. You know, it's also hard to be someone that you are not. So it's important that you take your time to grow the skills. So like I said, he has listed up um, six which he six personality traits that could link to that could help you grow these leadership skills, so that you know which one. So it helps you know which one. So which of these traits are you strong at? So that particular leadership skill, which it is linked to, you might just find it very easy to flow along with. But for personality traits where you are weak at, it might not be very easy for you to grow that leadership skill. So it's advisable that you start with traits which you are stronger at and grow which align to the leadership skill which you're strong at, so that you can grow that and you can easily get to automaticity in this. So he called it, we have curious, we have organized, we have caring, we have outgoing, we have ambitious, and we have resilient. So there's, if you go to www.leadershiphabits.com, you could take the practice test to know which of these traits you have or which of the skills you need to develop. So also he's saying when it comes to practice, less is more. So if you look at your life, so I would let me bring in just my how I started running like 5 kilometers. So I started by just walking. I say maybe sheepishly every day for long. I could not carry. I was weighing over 100 kg then. You can imagine. So I could not carry myself to even run, but I just kept walking until the time where I got tired of walking, and I took the leap of running for maybe 1 minute, stop 1 minute, run another 1 minute, stop 1 minute. Then it got to a point where I could run 5 minutes, rest for 1 minute. But you see, it takes practice. So less is always more. Take the gradual steps, 5 minutes every day. You practice one of these leadership skills, and you just grow to automaticity. So he also mentioned one interesting concept which he calls flow. So it's also known like being in the zone. So it's an experience of being deeply involved in activity. So there was a story of a child, Tristan. Yeah, I think his name is so Tristan, who loved who loved just doing maths, physics, like studying things like this that were way above his his let me say his learning grade at that time. But because he had a flair for it, he loved it, he could do it for long hours without caring what was happening around him, and he became a master at it. So what are those things that you easily do that distractions will disappear, that you won't feel hungry, there won't be stress or boredom? So these are the things that this is the idea you need to have when you're trying to grow your leadership skill, how to when you're trying to bring a habit out of that leadership skill. So okay, so I would not bore ourselves with this anymore. So so yeah, this is just explaining the traits that he has talked. So being curious, being organized, being caring, being outgoing, so like an extrovert, being ambitious, you want to do more, you want to gain more, being resilient. I saw myself turning into more maybe resilient, ambitious. So areas where I thought I had more skill, I thought I was caring, but maybe I've been exposed not to be. But yeah, so I think you should also take the test, and you find yourself, you know where your strengths are, and you're able to grow. So how do you move from these 5 minutes exercises to a full blown skill? That's the most important thing. So now what what your personality type is. You know what your personality type is. You know what skill you want to develop. And so, but how do you now do this to grow into like a full blown skill that you become a master of it? So we'll be looking at some of this in chapter 4. So how do you get like well-rounded, become a well-rounded leader? How do you internalize the skills and habits? So it's more about forming the habits. So that's where it starts from. So forming the habit takes practice after you have initially mastered the skill. So how do you get yourself to automaticity? This is the most important thing. One thing that I loved from this book was he looked at every stage from a psychologist point of view. He's looking at the whole perspective, not just as a leader, but also as one who is within a team. So not just within a team, but also as one who is within a team. How would you um, how would you get yourself to mastery, to overlearning? How do you get yourself to that point? How do you use this leadership formula? So because it's all about acquiring skills and deliberate practice. So how do you get yourself to that point? So it also, you see later in the book, it tells us how, okay, as a leader, you want to develop the skill of one of your team members. You should never start by making them um, putting them out, like you're just dishing it out to them that, oh, I think you have a poor team spirit. That person becomes defensive and is not ready to accept that um, that whatever coaching or mentoring you have after that. So they are always trying to cover that up. So in all of this, you see how you can coach a team member, how you can mentor a team member correctly, and how you can grow into that leadership and help that team member also become an expert at what they do. So how do we start this workout? Since it's called a workout, how do you start? How do you start growing that muscle? So maybe the muscle of solving problems daily, or the muscle or the muscle of being caring or being resilient. So first of all, you choose your first exercise wisely. Like I said earlier, choose something that could go naturally with you, something that you would enjoy while doing, so that you don't get to the point where you give up. So you need to something that you know you could easily learn, something that you know you would achieve, something that you know it could give you a reward. You'll be happy when you have done it. So avoid the trap. I like this part. He said we should avoid the trap of individual development plans. He, when he mentioned this, I laughed, because this is what we do in our businesses and offices most of the time. We always write these IDPs. It's so next year, if you call me to write an IDP, I already know what I want to write, you know. So, but within the year, have I followed my IDP, or have I even looked at it? But when you go into not just writing it as an IDP, but practicing what you have written or looking at it as an exercise, then you become better at it. So understand these exercises and track your practice. Think of it when you do exercises. I've been saying, oh, I do 5 kilometers. How do I know that? Because I track it. So do you track the practices that would help you become a better leader? Is one thing that we need to do. So he also put a checklist where you could, this checklist would help you know whether you are one who focuses on people more, or one who is like who is focused on achieving results. So here, so this is the part where we develop our leadership. Like this is where the skills are here. So how do you develop them? So I will skip through many, but maybe I'll use one of them to show us exactly what he means. So for a skill like planning and execution. So if you're looking at the skill managing priorities, so it means you have a list of things that you want to do in a day. So you found out that, oh, I'm not someone who is able to complete my task on time, or I handle the tasks which are less priority compared to the ones which are top priority. Or you find yourself doing the small things, but the big things are not being done. So how do you develop that leadership skill? Or why is this skill even important? So one quick one would be yes, because it helps you when you do the big things first. When you do the big things first, it's more rewarding. You get more satisfaction, and you would have finished like 80%. If you look at the Pareto principle, you have done 80% of what you should do by just doing 20% of the task. You get, so it helps you focus on the effort of completing your task and your project. So that is why this skill is very important. So managing priorities. So as a leader, you should be able to manage priorities, but what exercise are you going to do? So this is how he breaks down the exercise. So for every skill, interestingly, imagine for the 22 skills he has in his book, there are 5 minutes habit exercises for you. So you could I think we need to mute the person. So you could print them out, like have them in a card. That's what I plan to do. Have them in a card, and once I've become gotten automaticity in one of them, I move to the next one. So that's for me my plan. But there's also a way for you he has in his book that tells you which one should you start with, but focus on the one which will make it easier for you to start. So if you look at this, how do you how do you become an expert at at
Hi,
man?
Dominic.
Yes,
Hi, Dominic.
yes, hello.
So I just thought that maybe we want to take a bit of moment to pause
Okay.
and let me see. I'm trying to see if there is, and you can also grab a bottle of water. You're doing
Okay.
really great. Um, this is just to see if there are questions. No questions in the chat room. And I'm also checking on Facebook because we're streaming live via
Okay.
the Business Club and but anyone who wants to share thoughts on, between what we have in chapter 1 and let's say chapter 5.
Yeah, 1 to 5.
Any additional thoughts, input from everyone in the house? First, if you have read the book, you finished the book, let's see your hands up. Raise your hand, please. Hello. So, do I see any hands up? Okay, now let's take it this way and say, if you have read 50%, so if you've read 50%, okay, Abimbola Adejoke, well done. That's 50%, right? Okay, 25%. If you've gone 25%, I know it's been busy a number of weeks for everyone. And I'm hoping, you can see how Dominic had gone through. So I'm sure he's one of the people we can give a lot of round of applause for completing the book, in record time, enough to even share with us insights that can also spur us into action. So well done, Dominic, you're doing great. I just want to hear a few thoughts based on everyone's experience. I'm sure in every sphere of influence that we're in, we're all leaders. And so what are there specific things? Let's go to chapter 5 again. Let's see what we have in chapter 5. Just take a step back
Okay.
to chapter 5 on your slide.
Yeah, 5.
Okay, so that's like the end of a whole section.
Yeah.
Use the chat box. Okay, I did just read 76 pages. Okay, so let's say, must every leadership trait or habit be born out of defects? So there's a question. Before Dominic jumps on it, I would like that we have a number of us also try out. Let's try that out. Who wants to give that a trial? Must every leadership skill we build, traits or habits we build, be born out of defects? Any thoughts? it could be, don't worry if you've not read the book completely, but you can also share from your experience. So let's bring some practicality to our conversation tonight. I see a handful of leaders here, a handful of people. I'm going to call Faye. I'm going to call Faye. Faye Kemi. Faye Kemi Cyrus. Share a thought with us in 1 or 2 lines. Are you on?
Sorry,
Okay, Sarah
can you
said
tell the
maybe whoever asked the question would want to expatiate and that he or she does not understand. Okay, Sarah, that's a lady definitely. So she does not understand. Louise, I hope I sounded the name well. You want to say something?
Yeah.
While Feyikemi preps up.
I wanted you take the question again so I can know how to comment. You were asking
Okay,
something
in the
about
chat box. Yes, I can. Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, so I want to believe that sometimes if you are progressively minded, you quickly want to take action on your defect, or but at the same time, it's not supposed only to be on the defect. Just like Dominic have mentioned that habits can swing between negative and positive. So it also means while you are also looking at taking up a trait from the defect, nothing stops you from enhancing where you are, where you have good strengths on. So you keep maintaining the balance, by trying to make sure that you are not pulling one end and then losing at the other end. Thanks.
And that's impressive from me, an impressive response from you, Louis. I hope I sounded your name well.
Yeah, even though the X is silent most times.
Louis.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, good. And I've added extra learning. So I like how you positioned your response. Any further thoughts from the house? And I think this question goes to, that would be chapter 2. Is that 2? Where you have the ladder.
Yes, that's 2. Yes, where you have
Is
the
it
weakness,
2?
where you talk
Chapter 2, where you have the ladder.
Yeah.
So, any other person? Okay, so at least I pointed to where the answer is. And so that's to tell you that I did some reading too.
Chapter 1.
Okay, Dominic, do you want to respond, or you? I mean, it's a topic I'm actually a lot passionate about. So I'm actually holding myself a lot not to respond. So I'm going to really discipline myself because it's also a skill I'm learning to hold myself. Any topic I'm excited about, I may want to also hear other people talk. So this is me being open to everybody. And we're streaming live on Facebook, and I'm being as honest as possible. Okay, Dominic, over to you. Sarah says something just before you pop in. I see a message here. She said, okay, Sarah's hand is up. Okay, Sarah, could you, okay, you can have the microphone.
Okay, can you hear me, please? Hello.
You're very clear.
Okay, Sarah is my name. I'm actually imputing from Port Harcourt. You can hear me, right?
Yes, please go ahead. Yes,
okay.
and good.
Okay. I feel that leadership goes beyond the. I feel defects. Leadership by defects actually goes. It goes beyond, way beyond that. Okay. I think the first phase in order to build your leadership is. Can you hear me all? I think there is an interruption.
Yes, we can.
Should I go, Sarah?
Okay.
Can we have the
Okay.
co-hosts? Can we have the co-hosts take care of that interruption? Pardon that.
Okay. I feel that the first phase of leadership skill is to first identify your strengths. Because it's just like when you want to identify the fake coin or fake money from the original money. If you start with the defects, you're bound to get confused. So the first step would be, I need to understand clearly when I see original money, not the fake one. So when you're able to identify the original money, it now builds you into quickly identifying the fake one, the counterfeit. So in leadership skill, when we focus more on our core strengths, what do I do well? Am I empathetic? Am I humble? Do I listen? Am I organized? Do I have good relationship? Am I a relationship builder? Am I a good and efficient communicator to be able to communicate what is expected? So when you're able to identify these areas and you find out that, oh, I'm good with this, A, B, C, this is my strength, you build on that. Then after you have attained to that, there comes the areas you're not doing well, where you're lagging. So you begin to identify it again, do the exercises, know where you're weak, then build on that, and then focus a little bit longer on your defects so that you bring it up to a good balance, together with your strengths. So with that, you continue to develop it until you're able to harness all that is required to be a great leader. So this is just my little input. Thank you.
Sarah,
Thank
please go
you.
on. And thank you for this input and its quality also. I'm sure it's also at the moment triggering some thoughts in each of every one of us. I would want to thank you sharing with us also from experience and also helping bring real life application to the theory in the book. And I would want to applaud the author. The book would have looked a lot like a textbook, if not for the examples that he shared. So if you have not read the book, and if you need the book, if you're watching, you can actually reach out to any one of us. Look at the co-host, you can reach out to me directly. I'll share the book with you. It's a must-have. It's something that you don't just finish reading at once, that you have to go back and reference. Go back, tick those ones whichever skill you're working on per time, based on the ladder. And I want Dominic to come up now. Like I said, I am working on a skill at this moment, so I'm holding myself. So just Dominic, over to you.
Yeah. Okay. So I think both
Hello?
Sarah
Hello.
yes. Hello.
Okay,
I think
hey.
Abimbola Adejoke's hand is up.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Abimbola Adejoke.
All right,
Oh,
let's
sorry,
have
I raised
you.
it. I raised it when the question about who has read up to 50% of the book was asked. So I think I can
Okay,
just put
all
it
right
down
then.
now.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Bimbola. All right, over to Dominic.
Okay, yeah, great. I think great engagement. I think Louis already answered that question. So, and Sarah also. I like the two interesting perspectives to be candid. So yes, you don't need to. It's not just when you have a defect that you should build a leadership habits. You get, so if you see what Martin Lanik had done, is he said there are 22 skills. So there's no way you'll be a master today where you are of the 22 leadership skills. So of course you would have areas where you have strengths and you have areas where you have weaknesses, but you want to grow those leadership skills. So it's important that you identify them. So if you remember what I said, that it's good to start to get to automaticity where you have the strengths, because it helps you take this exercise seriously. Then you can use the same pattern in the areas where you have weakness, because the aim for you is to become a better leader, is to have the right habits. So that's why he uses the word workout, he uses the word automaticity, and all of that. So you understand the point. Yeah. So thanks to Sarah. Sarah, I like that perspective. Louis just gave the answer. So I want to say, I want to believe that that was already answered. So if we okay, so let's go back to now. Let's go back to the exercises. Like I was talking about managing priorities. So, but how do you get become effective with this? How do you get to the point where you can say, well, I'm effective, or have gained automaticity when it comes to managing my priorities? This is one very big challenge for us, most of us who work, even those in business. It's always easier to put the big task for later in the day, and just do the small ones, and you feel happy, but you've just done 20% of what you want to do. So what he's saying, the exercise here should be break down those projects into tasks, divide your task into more or less critical pursuits, allocate appropriate time for completing your work, and be clear why something is a priority. If you're not able to do this, you might not be able to prioritize properly. So why is something a priority? Why have you called it a priority? So one of the things, I think, one of the things you would learn on the job while working is there are things that are required by the business. So okay, so I'm trying not to go into my line of work, but yes, let me dive in. So when I have a complaint that has to do with the safety of the consumer, it is priority automatically. I don't know if you get this. So that becomes priority, because you don't want someone to come to you to sue you to court or get you. You don't want to get into that space. So I would not prioritize doing an online operation in my line of work to responding to a consumer who has an adverse effect or an issue with my product. So you prioritize that task. So this is one of the ways in which we should prioritize. So then when you choose that task as priority, then you need to break it down into smaller tasks. You need to break those smaller tasks into smaller ones, and you complete. So these are the kind of habits, these are the kind of exercises he has put in his book for so many skills. So I've been able to put so many skills, but I will skip through them because I think there should also be time for us to ask questions. So he also talked about planning and organizing work as a skill. So you create a project plan. What are the resources that you need? What are the available resources that you have? Then track this progress with the metrics. We do this all the time. So you have a business and you want to know, how much did I sell last month? How much am I planning to sell this month? How do I become better at this? So one of the best ways of growing in leadership, like he mentioned earlier, is to track your progress. So after you have completed a particular skill, you have gotten to automaticity, you need to check. So you get to a point that you don't, like Laura, if you remember the story of Laura so if you remember the story of Laura earlier, she got to the point where she didn't have to write the her her workout exercises on her hand. She used to write it on her hand before she went into a conversation. So it gets to a point you don't need to. You just need to actively behave it or do it. Then it becomes a habit. It becomes automatic. So there's so many skills. So this was one other interesting one for me. So I think I will just touch on interesting ones since there's so much. There are 22. It's creating urgency. So he mentioned that here is setting you to create an urgency. You need to, especially with your team, you need to set bold goals. Let them stress the importance, not just saying, but he said there are words that you need to use here. Good, he mentioned it. High intensity words when you want to discuss maybe something very important in your team. There are words that you should use, that this is important. This is I think there are some words skipping my head at the moment, but there are words you should use that would build that required positive energy or positive pressure on the team to create that sense of urgency. You get, so you set those bold goals. Oh, guys, we need to, okay, so in a business like where I am, we have to get a green audit in so time. We need to pass this. So there are words that you need to use, high intensity words to create that sense of urgency. So also when you are, so I started thinking of this from the point where, okay, when you send mails, what makes so that someone would want to read it. You know, there are some mails that come to you and you're not even interested in reading this one has come again. But there are ways you would send your mail. People will always want to click. You know, I know someone then in the past where I'd worked previously, and he sends a mail. The way he titles it, you want to open what is he saying. It's like seeing a news from the newspaper, like a headline, you know. So we need to be able to create such type of urgency when it comes to our theme. So the same thing with problem solving. How do we, what exercises would you put in place to increase or improve your problem solving skills? So research the issue. So for us, in my area, it's one very interesting way. It's something that we do all the time. So we always want to know, okay, what is the problem? Face value. I was looking at it. What is the problem? Then we want to go down to understand what could have caused this problem. What are the challenges? What are the issues that have brought about this problem? Then before you now start making decision on how you want to solve them. So list this exercises that you'll be doing on a daily basis. Don't forget. My advice would be get a card. Um, have it handy, something you can always, in case you forget what step to take or what not to take, have a card that you can always look at before you take the next step. So getting things done, he mentioned this also, thinking through, thinking through solutions. So very important. How do you, so you brainstorm multiple solutions, could be an activity you want to do. How do you make the right decision? So what habits, what exercises would you do if you have to make the right decisions? You show that you understand the underlying issue first. Do you understand the issue? What are you making a decision on? Do you understand what it is? What is the objective course of action? So what do you want to do? What's the rationale behind the decision that you are making? Then you also, in the business place today, you need to make timely actions. But one thing I really loved from what he said here, you might not have the answer to a particular problem in your workspace immediately, but please make small decisions first. You don't leave it to when you have the final answer. You get it. So someone comes to you, or there's a business challenge. Oh, we just lost $3 million because of this problem. You should not have, if you don't have the immediate action or the immediate solution to the problem, you need to make timely small decisions before you make the big ones. You get, so in my line of job, so how do we make small decisions? So somebody comes to me and tells me, oh, we have a challenge with a product in trade. First small decision is the same product we have in-house, can we make sure it doesn't go out, so we don't have a ripple effect or a multiplied effect in trade. So make the small decisions until the lead, if you don't have the big decision that you want to make at the moment. So focusing on customers could also be a leadership skill. So you define who are your customers. I think there was something I wrote one time when I was talking about how customers could be your team members. Interestingly, if you think of it deeply, it could be your team members. It could be those who buy products from your business or services from your business. It could also be your boss. You get, so when you think of it from this perspective, you have the right approach to this. So leading change. This is a different leadership, like let me say, a different leadership skill where you're looking at selling a vision. How would you sell a vision to your team? I think this is one challenge we as leaders or team members we have most often. We don't sell the right vision. We we want to achieve something, but it needs to be painted. I remember working with a team where we knew. So it's the first time I had worked in a business where I knew the sales target for the year. Like it was in my head. You get, because our GM then, he sold it to us till today. I still know it. We had it like eight, you know. So it's 13 something something, you know. It was there. It was in our head. He sold it to us daily. He was posting it on the WhatsApp group. It was a picture that you knew. Everyone. Interestingly, even those who were the contract staffs, they knew the vision. So you need to be able to paint a vivid vision picture of what you want to achieve with your team. And then think long term. It's one challenge that we always have when you're trying to grow it. If you're trying to paint a vision, please think long term. In 3 to 5 years, 10 years, where do you want to be? How do you want to be? How do you want to become that person? So when you're selling vision, it needs to be long term. So innovate. I think I would just skip through, but I would just advise us to go through each of the habits, each of the skill. Take the 5 minutes habit, put them on a card, and try to do them daily. So I want to take us to chapter, yeah, so to this part. So how do you encourage new skills in others? I think this is more important for us. So maybe as a boss or someone in a team. Martin Lanik really took his time here to explain how we could do this. So he's saying whether you're a parent, teacher, a coach, whatever you are, you are definitely mentoring somebody or trying to coach someone in life. So it could be a child. Every day where you tell, oh, you need to wash your clothes, you need to do this. You are guiding the person, you are mentoring that person. But how do you make your team members do this? It needs to be through motivation. When I got to this part of the book, I was like, wow. So this is what happens when people reject. I would say they reject a course of action. You know, so let's so like Madam Ife was saying earlier. I said yes, it's that time of the year where we're doing reviews, right? So you get into the room with a team member and you're about to do like a review with them, and you start with giving the person the negative. The person already creates a wall. The person already creates a wall. They no longer want to listen. So it must be out of motivation. So he called it, I think, motivational leadership, or growing people through motivation. So he said habit starts and ends with motivation. If the individual you're trying to change is not motivated or is not interested, is not ready to change, then you are just hitting a brick wall. So you need to ensure that they are motivated to make that change. So it's selling it to them. So you need to be able to sell it. You need to listen to them first before they before you speak. You need to hear their part. So it needs to be more of coaching. I think I learned a lot about coaching when it came to chapter 8 and 9, a lot about coaching. So it needs to start there. So he gave us a very interesting story about a lady, Ruth, who was an alcoholic. So I think she went to a meeting one day, which was a business meeting, and she got drunk. She had alcohol, and she made the wrong statement in public. And you know, when you make those kind of statements, and everybody's looking, and everybody becomes uneasy. But she was drunk, and she made that statement because she wanted to get out of the mood, because she had seen she had a negative behavior. She drank more and took more pills. But you know, the interesting thing, while I read the book, what we found about her is that she had not accepted that she was an alcoholic. So imagine going to that person and tell the person you're an alcoholic. You are very breached. You've put a barrier where you can no longer help that person. So it was until she accepted that she was an alcoholic that the change came for her. That was the only time that's when she even accepted to go in for help. So that's when she decided to go into um, I've forgotten the word now, but she went to ask for help. She went to the hospital. She joined the team, and she got help. So interestingly, there was also this test that was done. They called it CAA test, and it was done for students. And so when the student comes, they put like a litmus paper on your tongue and tells you if it turns to this color, you have this. He saw what was seen there is people who who were positive for the particular test lived like it was against their self-image. Like, somebody telling me now that I have COVID, I'll first of all react and live in denial. You get, so he saw that people live in denial when something is against their self-image. So please, let's take note. This is the part where you are now looking at looking at individuals and how you could mentor or coach them. Allow them be the one to to realize it out of motivation, unless if something goes against their self-image, they will live in denial and they will build that brick wall where you can't assess them. So what's the aim? If you're trying to grow somebody or focus on people as a leadership skill and there's already a brick wall, then you're not achieving any goal. So people feel more comfortable when the behavior matches their self-image. You get, so if you tell them something that matches their self-image, of course they will accept and they will smile, even if they say nothing, but they're happy. But when you say something that's against their self-image, then you are, what would they do? So they will dismiss it, they will ignore it, they will explain away that behavior. They can change their behavior or they can change their self-image. You get, but when you want to do this, so when coaching others, you can only be successful when the people you are mentoring are motivated to change. That's the only time you can achieve this. The people the people you are mentoring must be motivated to change. That's the only time help can come. So it's the same. So he went further in chapter 9 to talk about how to coach this leadership, how to coach this leader habits, like how to put it into people. I think it's interesting. He tried one with someone who was high-tempered, and he went first by telling the person the way it is, and the guy rejected, and it bounced back at him. So he learned better how to approach this person by listening first. Let the person get to the point where they are contemplating change. When the individual gets to the point where it's contemplating change, then you have broken through. Like, there's now a hole in the wall. You get, so now you can have the whole brick. So he so then he talks about surprising the contemplator. And for all of these styles of trying to change someone's habit, or attitude or character or whatever it is, you must be able to substitute it with a behavior. So I'm trying to, okay, so I'm trying to, if somebody eats so much, that's the reason why they become obese and all of that. So they love eating. You cannot just tell them stop eating. So you you can make them see, or make them feel give them that incompatibility, what is not compatible with this behavior, that could take them out of the behavior that they are currently looking at. And interestingly, with his example with the with the individual who was high tempered, he made him see that incompatible behavior. He made him see that, oh, he gets angry because people don't get him. So he was going out of the office one day and somebody saw him. So he was in a hurry to maybe his child's program or something. He was in a hurry. Somebody saw him on the way and still stopped him to ask him a question. So he expected that the person knew he was in a hurry, but you see, it's just assumption, and he became angry again. But when he saw the ripple effect of his behavior on his subordinate or his team member, he he saw that behavior is okay. This behavior is not the right behavior, and how it doesn't allow him achieve his goals and his objectives. So it's an incompatible behavior. So it helps him. So he helps him build, um, like he helps him see, so accept the change or contemplate, oh, I think I need to change this because it's affecting the way people see me, it's affecting the way that I achieve my results for my team member. So at this point, he's ready to change. So at that point, this particular person can be mentored or can be coached into changing. So there are questions that he puts that we could use, or he also put here another framework. He calls it the air. So what's the expectation? What's the action? And what's the result? So this is the approach for coaching. So you want to coach someone, you want to get something out of a team member, you want to you want to get something out of someone who reports to you or someone who you are helping through a particular challenge. So you need to make clear the expectation. What did you think about this situation? What did you notice when you got angry? What did you notice when you couldn't meet the deadline for the KPI? We're supposed to share this every Monday, and you couldn't meet this KPI. How do you feel about it? So you get, so what's the expectation? So then the actions. What did you do? So so you ask them these questions, the expectation, the actions, the result, please. They need to be the ones speaking. It is from what they have said. You would notice from what I read through the books when I see so there were conversations which he also laid down in the book. When you see those conversations, it gets to the point where the individual who you're trying to mentor, to coach, is the one who realizes the gap. It's no longer you. So like for Laura at the early part of and Ruth, you find that the individual is the one who now realizes the issue, the issue that they have, and they are willing to correct it. So this is the approach he has put, and this I think is a very wonderful one for us to follow. So what are those things that you are going to see? That's what he has put here. What are those habits? What are those coaching leader habits? Is sometimes people could be unaware of the shortcomings, so they, of course, they are not ready. But they get to a point when they are now contemplating, because you have used the AAR, that's they're now contemplating, okay, where they are aware of the shortcomings, and they're contemplating change. Okay, I would like to change this attitude of mine. I would like to stop interjecting or interrupting. I would like to stop getting angry unnecessarily, and now they are ready for action and they're committed to change. So in the first 2 weeks, you practice you try to use the EAR framework, then you push them into practicing the leader habit, and ensure that they get to the point of overlearning. Don't forget, when in chapter 1 where we drew that graph, the overlearning is where they have gotten to the point where they are now at mastery, and they've gained automaticity, right? So it's where they have, where they have mastery, and they've gotten mastery, and now it has become an habit. So here they have gotten automaticity. So it's for me, it's a it's a textbook. Like, it's a textbook on leadership. It's mind blowing. It's something that I would advise everyone to read, not once. You don't have to read it all once, but you can take it in steps. Choose a leadership skill that you want to develop, maybe every month. You've done your personality assessments using the Coco plus R. You're seeing, oh, am I curious? Am I ambitious? Am I resilient? And you see, oh, okay, what leadership skills do I need to improve? What leadership skills do I lack? And what do I need to put there? So all of these things are things that we need to deliberately grow in ourselves. Sometimes one of the things I learned in this book is there are some skills or some behaviors, because he keeps linking it to behavior. There are some behaviors that you can grow by just putting a picture on the wall. He gave an example I think a pizza delivery company, where they just put a signage on the wall that talks about wear your seatbelt. And after some time, a couple of time, people, or the drivers for the pizza company, started wearing their seatbelts. They not only wore their seatbelts, they started following other safety rules while driving, like maybe while navigating or while moving to the next lane. They will put on their navigators, and all of that. So you see, one developed habit has automatically sprung out, developing other habits or correcting other areas where so learning one skill. Say yes, you learn the skill of problem solving today, or you learn the skill of active listening. So that's one interesting one there, of active listening. You never can tell what other skill it will develop along the way. So thank you very much. I think this is it for me. That should be my last slide. I hope I've been able to. It's a wonderful book. It's something I'm very sure I will not be able to cover all through, but yeah, it's worthwhile. And thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for all those who have listened.
Thank you very much, Dominic, for an awesome session. Do you, Madam Bafemi, I think there are some insights in the comment box. Questions? How do you can help with that?
You need my help?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I would like to start off with your question, kind of. I'm sure it's actually maybe rhetorical. Maybe you just want us to reflect on that. You said, are you a subordinate to an authoritarian leader? Do not imbibe the behavior, but act the way um, you would have loved to be treated when you become a leader. And for me, that's a lot of thoughts. First, I would like to acknowledge the facilitator for today. It's a whole lot of work. And Dominic, you have it. Like, you just, you went in depth into the book and then brought out insights. So for anyone who perhaps have not gotten an opportunity to go through the book, giving us the impetus to just go in. And like I said earlier, the book, even if you finish reading it, it's still a book that is important and would work to as reference. Speaking to Aditya's comment here, and that reminds me of a story I usually tell. I was counting 1, 2, 3, 4, how many leaders I've had to work with in the span of my career. And at the point, I was counting 11. And at that period, I did some self-reflection. So what are the key things I learned from each of the leaders? What are the key learnings, the things I would rather not have? And your question is something that spurred me to just remember. Yes, a lot of times leaders even act out of, there are times you just get unconscious and you just act in certain ways that is linked to your personality. The truth is, and as Dominic has rightly also emphasized about the book, if there are key traits as it links to leadership that you would like to imbibe on like an habit. When you wake up in the morning, you don't have to think that, do I brush my teeth first or I take my bath first? Or do I maybe do a bit of devotion? You don't have to think of certain things anymore because you do it every day. And same also, and that's the link. That's for me, it's some insights I got from the book, which is why treat leadership skills or competency as if it's something when you get to work, you just get into that thinking. You could also take on leadership skills in wherever, at home with the children, within your sphere of influence. So we really have quite a number of situation where we can dial up our leadership skills and bring them to youth. And it's from practice, and that has been emphasized. So it's from practice, conscious practice. Is it active listening you want to put on, where you don't get to interrupt people when they speak, and and like what I said earlier, sometimes we get so excited about a topic and we just want to don't be the only one just listening to ourselves. And this is something that if you have noticed that this is a trait, a lot of time we may not even see it, but perhaps from feedback, if you get it, then you want to consciously work on that. There's something I posted a moment ago that a lot of times all this personal development plan, it's a lot routine. It has to be done, so I have to put it. But are we also consciously interested in making that change? Are we getting the necessary support we need to take on that change? Now let me jump out, back to that part I said got me, that reminded me of some situation earlier on in my journey, and where I had to, look at the leaders and say, these are the key traits, these are the key traits. And one key role that has also followed me through my career journey is to say to myself, we're all humans, and we're all prone to some bits of, in quotes, I'm going to borrow Dominic's word, defects. We all came up from different backgrounds, and we have different experiences. Some people, what they're showing as leader is as a result of the kind of leader they have passed through. And in their head, they think this is how leadership should be. You can't blame them. They feel they've passed through the best, and that is what they are. So if they don't go through the moment of self-reflection, a moment of even taking like a 360-degree feedback, they may just make life unbearable and miserable for people they lead. And here is my line, which I said to myself that when I go through leaders, work with any leader, I say to myself, I see good traits, and I quickly note it and say, oh, this is something I love, and this is, perhaps I don't have it, or perhaps I'm on a particular step of the ladder. Dominic, remind us, what's the ladder from the rookie point of view? Tell us from the bottom up to the point of proficiency.
And to habit, becoming a habit.
Proficiency.
So mastery and becoming a habit.
Becomes a habit, and that is the goal. Yes, and that is the goal. That there are things that I feel maybe a certain way, particularly that either consciously or unconsciously, or maybe by virtue of learning or experience, acts, and the. I am at the receiving end, or any other person is also at the receiving end. I also, find a way to say to myself that, okay, this may not be, in certain situations, you want to act this way, because this is the kind of impact, the impact you're feeling at this moment is what you would feel if you get into certain situation and you act or respond in this particular way. I hope that makes some sense. In what I'm trying to describe. So when you're working with leader, yes, they're human, anything could happen. So what you say to yourself is, whatever way the negative habit made you feel, you want to already note it and say, this is not with my team. Or even if I get into that, even before you get to that position, I'm sure in every one way or the other, we all have a sphere of influence of people we lead. So you want to quickly notice. So that me, I'm always not judging, not castigating, not acting in my own. Tell myself, is this how you want to be? No. Is this how you want to be? Yes, if depending on the individual. Yes, and that is just to point on Adijat's question. Okay, I don't want to be the only one speaking. I saw Chijoke raised his hand. Do we have more people raising their hand? Dominic, it's a really great job you've done this night, and it's just a fantastic way to wrap up the year and get us into the reflective mode. This is a business and leadership book club where we review text and content on leadership, leadership development, business and business development, how to continuously bring value to the organization we work for, to enterprise we support, or to businesses that we own. Because like I said, we have entrepreneurs in the house. Okay, do you want to have the microphone at this point? Adija, I don't want to take the work of the moderator from you.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, can I, like I saw someone raise a hand not quite long ago. Any question from the house? Oh man, I've lost it.
I actually saw Chijoke.
Hello?
I saw Chijoke. You're having a
Chijoke.
bit of connection issue. Okay, yes, I saw
Let me check.
Chijoke. Is Chijoke still on the call?
No, 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 no. It's no longer
Okay.
here.
Well, in okay, so let's look through the chat box for questions, or anyone who wants to speak. Please feel free to come
Yeah,
online, also on mute and then speak.
I will appreciate if you can share all the books we have read so far with the newbies. From Mindset to Shoe Dog, The Leaders Challenge, Genius of Opposites, Willful
Yes,
Blindness, Greeds, and the
yes,
rest. I
fantastic.
think it's
You
13
have the
enough.
list already. Yes, yes. That's why I said we beat our target, which is 12 books for the year. So I'm trying to confirm if it is 13, 14 we achieved. And the beautiful thing, aside from even reading this book, are a number of us have had to change roles, a number of us have had to change jobs, a number of us have had a really good turn in our career in the course of the year. And what also motivates me, and I'm sure every other person, the coordinators and the rest people on the call, is that we're able to apply, put all that we are learning into practice, and getting the desired change and making the desired move that we long to have in the course of a career. So that's some joy there. And congratulations to everyone, to all of us. I'm going to task Ella. Ella would give us the list. Will help us with the list of the books that we've read. That will be later, maybe not immediately, but just to share it on the WhatsApp platform. And like I said, if anyone wants to join, and actually we have close to 80 people on the WhatsApp platform, but I got just one or two, a few excuses for not joining today. But regardless, the most important thing for joining the WhatsApp platform is your interest to read and also to actively participate at a once a month review session. We've had a situation where we review 2 books in a month or 2 books in 6 weeks. So as it works for us, I think we can put to good use our time and then take on this learning and be better people. Adijot, over to you, since Chijoke is not in. Any other thoughts, input from the house? Any additional question?
Yes.
If I'm reading from Sarah. Okay, Chi. Oh, yeah, finally. I was looking out for you earlier. I hope you know you are
Apologies.
reviewing our next book. Chi, I hope you know you're reviewing our
Yes,
next book. Well, you didn't know. You know already.
well, Ella had talked about that earlier, but I couldn't join because of a work project I had to carry on this year. So essentially, I want to say thank you to the book club and to everyone. We might not have met physically, but this is one good family that I have online, and I'm happy that I had to join this group. So the group has been very helpful to me. Target of reading at least 12 books every year, but it made it easier for me to at least accomplish 8 on the book club. Then I had my other books that I had to also along the line read. So I want to use this opportunity to say thank you for the initiative. Thank you for everyone who had reviewed a book or the other in the span of the period I joined, and I guess before I joined as well. And I also look forward to next year, to meeting everybody back in the new year, and then we'll continue from there. So I just want to say thank you to everyone.
And thank you too. Thanks for sharing the value you've gotten from this gathering. And I'm sure it will inspire a number of us, and also for us to continue to relearn and take it some notch higher. Adejoke, hi, welcome. I can hear your phone ringing. Okay, thanks, Chi. And any other thoughts from the house? Adija?
Daniel
Um,
Afolabi signed is up, like I can see.
okay, let him go on.
Daniel
Daniel,
Afolabi.
Okay, good
it's good to
evening,
see tens
everyone.
and tens of us online today. Thanks for joining in. Okay, Daniel, over to you.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. And kudos to our facilitator for today. For every one of us, I believe we are all leaders, and we must have been leading people in one capacity or the other, probably in our workplaces as team leads in our various organizations, religious organizations. So going through our review for today has been led by the facilitator. So we would understand that most of the things he hinged upon are relatable to how we've been leading people. And for those of us who have been getting results as a leader, we would know that his submissions are not off point. So for me, the review would assist me in order to be able to fine tune my leadership skills and to be able to deliver from my team. So I would want to say kudos to you, and at the same time, would like to commend everyone.
Looks like we lost the audio.
Daniel has gone off.
Okay, so then let's bring the session to a
Network.
wrap. Oh, Daniel, you're
He's
back
back.
now.
Yeah.
We lost the audio for a bit.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Okay, yeah. So by the time I would join, understanding the fact that all of it being the end of the year, so I was still impressed. Meeting about 25 persons online, and what I could actually observe is, those shows that we are consistent. And it's still one of the things that we could understand about leadership. So this is commendable, and also to our all-time host, Madam Ife, kudos to you as well too. So looking forward to better times come January, and the opportunity to also learn from every one of us. So thank you. So this is my submission tonight.
Thank you,
So I
Daniel.
won't let that go cold. DJ, please just give me 1
Yes, ma'am.
minute. Honestly, I can't take any credit. I can't take any credit for putting all of this together. I mean, there are quite a handful of people working in background, encouraging, every one of us, and being a really big support system. And one of them is Daniel on the call, Harriet, almost everybody. So I'm sure I'm going to miss out names if I start, pointing to names that I can see here. Is it Ogochuko? Is it everybody? Chi Ake, our consistency, beats me. She's here
Ella,
almost to say she's the
Ella.
host. Ella is on the call. I can see Ella, of course. Ella is she's pioneer. So
She's the machine. Engine.
It's like book club.
Every I remember very well. It's consistency, and always daring and not afraid to share his input, his thoughts, ideas, innovative way. What can we do differently? And so I have to, put back the acknowledgement to everyone. I can't take any credit for any of it. And I think do you have any wrap-up words? so that, because I see we're not doing so well on timing. We're supposed to wrap up at 8:30. So this is 15 minutes late, so that I can just put 1 or 2 lines, then we are done for the evening. And I'll be looking forward to receiving everybody next year. Over to you, Adijat.
In the last book review for the year, I'm going to leave with this parting shot. I believe we have all learned so much, and I hope we are putting everything we've learned to use, because it's better not to learn at all than to learn and not do. And it's not what you know that counts, but how the difference it makes is how you make use of what you know. Thank you.
Absolutely. That is very correct. And that says, just to put in a final wrap up words on the book. Yes, we have heard that the leader habit, that's the book. We've heard, and I trust that we will go through and also read. We have a formula to help us dial up those skills that it will take energy and session. It won't just happen. So it won't be automatic. Even though we are all tending towards automaticity for those skills, that we would want those skills to come natural to us, even without thinking, just like the analogy given about driving a manual car. I actually drove manual car for a lot of years. So developing those leadership habits is something that we as individual, we have to do for ourselves. No one would do it for you. Even if your organization's your leadership training and all of that, you still have some work to do by yourself. So no one can do it for anyone. And you must have the impetus to put in the time, the effort, and the determination to develop those new habits so that we can become stronger leaders. Being a strong leader, we see all some leaders and we give thumbs up to them. I take, for example, the woman, that's Madam Uko, that we had a hangout tea time session with last week. It didn't just happen. I'm sure we heard part of the story and our history. The fact that it's discipline, so she had to consciously imbibe those habits. So I won't want to take on more words. I'm wishing you the best of the holiday season. Merry Christmas in advance, and Happy New Year also in advance. We will set the time for our first book review sometime in January, but we'll let you enjoy your holiday now and have the best of the moment. Ensure that you use the time wisely. Yes, it may sound cliche to say you want to set your 2021 goals. Like I said to one of our members during my one-to-one session with the lady, I said I did something this year which I kind of usually most times do mentally. And why I do it mentally and I've been successful at it, which is setting my goals. I do it mentally, and if it's only important, I use some sticky notes. But this year, I deliberately wrote them down. And somewhere, not so long ago, when I was looking through the list of things to do, the things I wanted to achieve concerning, family, finance, I want to achieve concerning my career, concerning, all other areas of expression. And I was able to have a lot of blue ticks. When we say blue ticks, when it comes to social media, that means you have, you're the boss. And I would also encourage you, no pressure, just that there are key, I'll share with us a file that can help, just a document that can help you group them. Just have fun while at it. Have fun while at it. And I mean it when I say have fun while at it. Doesn't have to be a really, really serious business. It's just time for you to reflect and just note those things. Check where you are, where do you want to be, and how do you want to get there? And that is critical to then putting out your real big goals, your big, how do they say, your big, hairy, audacious goals. BHAG, yes, big, hairy, audacious goals. So your bag, so just put it there. and then stretch yourself. And I tell you that you have no limits. There's no limits. And well, I can actually speak on and on, but I wouldn't want to do that this evening. So do have a really fantastic evening. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. For some of us, we've had really, really busy, hectic week, even up till this evening, and work and life all juggling together. I would say try and take Sunday to rest. I have a seminar to attend, a self-development seminar, to attend tomorrow anyway, but I would also try and rest in between. So at this point, salute everybody, and do have a really great weekend. Cheers and bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.
See you on the
Bye.
WhatsApp group.
Bye.
Enjoy your weekend.
Bye, Ogo. Bye, Sarah. Bye, Bimbo. Bye, Ella. Bye, Abdurazak. Bye, Adija. Bye, Chi. Bye, Harriet.
Bye, Sarah.
Bye, Faye. Sandra, I see you. Louis, Harriet, and Dominic. Thank you. Thank you for pouring yourself out a lot for us. Ogochukwu, I see you. Adeboye Gaja, thanks for joining me today. Thanks. All right. Daniel, Ella, Sarah, take care, guys, and do have a great rest of the weekend. Goodbye, everybody. Sorry if I don't mention your name. It's not intentional. I speak by a lot of people, so I just picked up random names. Bye-bye. Take care.
You too. Bye.